Hi, my name is Damaro Salazar, and my EDD independent study is on misdiagnosis. So what is misdiagnosis? Misdiagnosis is a doctor's diagnosis error leading to an incorrect treatment or no treatment at all, and this can actually worsen the patient's conditions. So what usually happens is that this can be taken to law, and it can actually be a lawsuit for malpractice. However, a lot of these diagnostic errors aren't held accountable with the doctor, and so this can lead to a lot of failed lawsuit trials. This actually happens quite often. In 2015, the National Academy of Medicine reported that most people will receive an incorrect diagnosis at least once in their lives. It has been cited about 12 million people, out of which 5% are adults, are misdiagnosed annually. That leaves the rest of them being younger than 18, usually kids, are the prime target of this misdiagnosis problem. A lot of them, however, do end in death. About 10% of patient deaths take contribution to diagnostic errors, and roughly 400,000 and 800,000 deaths are related to the misdiagnosis itself. Some variables of diagnosis, so these are some reasons why it happens, is patient variables such as state of disease. Well, how far are they in this illness itself? How does it manifest without an individual? Since everyone's bodies kind of reacts differently, it can be seen in different ways. How is it perceived by the clinician itself? How do they think about the whole process? How are they taking in the information? How are they separating the different illnesses it can be related to? How is it described by the client itself? Are they being specific with it? Do they know how to describe the feeling? Are they putting out enough information to let the doctor understand? Is their description helping the doctor narrow down their symptoms to one disease itself? And when is help sought after? How long did you wait before you finally went in and said, okay, this might be a problem? System complexity as well, disjointed care, communication barriers, tight coupling, access to care, and expertise. What kind of healthcare do you have? Are you able to get the good communication with the doctor? Are you able to tell your doctor everything that's really happening? And physician variables such as knowledge and experience. Some doctors aren't as experienced as others, and that's just fact. And their clinical reasoning can be different among different doctors. Someone right out of the university won't have in-workplace experience, and so they don't understand. So the stress, the mood, how long are they able to think about this before having to give a diagnosis? It all takes effect, and everyone handles this pressure differently. So according to science-based medicine, 400,000 to 800,000 people die annually due to misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis in 2015. Misdiagnosis tends to take place when the clinical reasoning of a doctor isn't as skillful as another's. This is just saying that misdiagnosis happens due to clinical reasoning of a doctor, and there are deaths that happen, and 2015 had a high number of 400,000 to 800,000 die in that 1 year. And it's actually annually, so it tends to happen year to year. So some similar solutions, some solutions that have been made to kind of help reduce diagnostic error is we have two medicine carry-ons. This is used to carry your medicine, write down the names, the doses of what you're taking, so that. And I said this is a solution, so because you can take it to your next checkup, and maybe you don't have the same doctor, but you can say, hey, the doctor gave me this medicine. This is what he thought would help. And so each doctor will have its own beliefs on what your symptom could be or what it could lead into. So this can help kind of jumpstart your next doctor in case you don't have the same doctor. And I got 2 heartbeat monitors. One's for a finger, one's for your arm. This can help track maybe when they're not as sure as how to describe the symptoms they're having. So this can help clarify some of that. So the best solution I found was this medicine carry-on, and this one in particular due to the little note cards at the top. So at the note cards on the top, we have the statement of purpose. The purpose of this research is to bring awareness to how often misdiagnosis happens and finding an effective way to make a device to help reduce or even solve this problem. To do so, I will do research on what the problem is, how it happens, and some ways doctors have thought of to reduce this from happening. So some articles I used to justify my awareness is one of these articles explains why misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis can lead to malpractice. Why does it happen? What goes on in the mind of a modern doctor? How does the lawsuit particularly happen? And how does it end? Next, we have an article that shows statistics on how often misdiagnosis or delayed misdiagnosis happens or when it occurs. It mentions the challenges that doctors face when giving a patient diagnosis, and this is actually stated by Mark Graber, who is actually a lead founder of Society to Improve Diagnosis in Medicine. He actually states that there are over 10,000 diseases with only 200 to 300 symptoms. So it can easily be a struggle to narrow it down to one particular specific disease. Then I found a PDF that was made for clinicians, and it goes into an in-depth explanation of why diagnostic errors happen, some precautions that should be taken to reduce it. And the lessons cover, quote-unquote, how doctors think, and they kind of look at other diagnostic errors themselves, and they look at how it could be avoided, what are some precautions you should take to reduce it, what should you avoid, what are some frequent mistakes. And this was actually made by CEC, a doctor by the name of Mark Graber. And he showed the statistics of diagnostic errors and how they happen. It's in accurate diagnosing patients, has cases, definitions, processes, and even mentions the basic cause of diagnostic error, and they reflect the weaknesses of the healthcare system, as well as the cognitive aspects. It's a very good justification article. Next, we have a research study written by INH Institute. Dr. Mark Graber also participated in this research study that shows the statistics of diagnostic error. Dr. Graber has been mentioned before in a previous paper he wrote to inform us about diagnostic error and what he has found to reduce the numbers of its happening. So this study goes over how often it occurs and how atrocious the numbers are actually in reality, and it goes over why this could be. And Mark Graber really does validate this article and study by being the founder of Society to Improve Diagnosis in Medicine. And the research was done in an institute with a group of fellow doctors. So the validity of this is very, very credible. And finally, we have an artifact that actually it shows through website reputation. And the research was both from U.S. National Library of Medicine, very high reputation, as well as National Institutes of Health, as also very high reputation. And it was actually recently updated on the 31st of January 2019, so it was very recent, and they keep it up to date. So I did conduct a survey. The survey was to see how often my fellow colleagues and those around me actually experience misdiagnosis. And in conclusion, I've seen why misdiagnosis happens and found some factors that cause this. Knowing this will help guide me to finding a solution to reduce the chances of giving someone a wrong diagnosis. I see that the change in doctors have an effect as well as records of healthcare provider. As seen in one of my free response answers, I have an example of someone being misdiagnosed due to the fact that the doctor she went to had no previous records of her and what she's gone through in her previous experiences. This is due to communication barriers, is what I categorized it as, and not having a primary healthcare provider. So this can help me narrow down my search of what I need to reduce and how to do so. So now I start looking to what product I can make to help reduce this even more than what's already been done. And so some specifications that I want to really emphasize is the weight, the durability, longevity, price, ease of use, the cleanliness of it, and how aesthetic is it to the patients themselves. And so I rated them on how important they are. Durability was very important because I don't want something cheap. I don't want something just to break. And I want something to be very aesthetic to the patients, because in today's world, they can be skeptical of some things. So I don't want it to be something they can be skeptical about. I want them to be able to trust it and actually be put to use. Some performance benchmarks, I want it to be reliable, so accurate. I don't want it to exceed a size of 5 feet and 90 pounds. Something small, compact, easy to use. Something aesthetically pleasing. It has to be easy to read and use. Must pass the cleanliness, and it has to operate for long amounts of time. So when I get to my design solution, I have 2 designs. One is a badge that has an RFID chip between 2 pieces of 3D printed filament, and this will be put on your chest so that your information is everywhere you go. Family records, medication records, doctor records, who's the doctor that said this, who's the doctor that prescribed this medication. Now the wristband is the same idea, same RFID chip, same storage withheld within it. However, they're both used in different ways. One will go on your chest or put it somewhere in that same area, somewhere hidden, compact. You kind of forget it's there, but it's there, just in case you need to go in. They scan it and they open up your profile. One is on your wrist, which is just a watch, and it's exactly like a bracelet. It's just going to stay on your wrist, also easy to use, easy to carry on you at all times. So the price of this, I did get a few pieces. It's not too complex, however, it is complex when you get to the RFID chip. So for the 2 plates, I just used filament from Electronics Express. This is just going to do the 3D printing for me. It's going to be on the front cover and the back cover. And then we have an adhesive. I did want to use another adhesive, something maybe semi-permanent on your skin. However, I couldn't find a good non-toxic commercial use product, so I am going to stick to thin double tape. Then we have a 13.56 megahertz RFID tag. This is about the size of a quarter, which is what I designed on the back plate. It's going to fit snug, it's going to fit in there, it's going to be able to read past and send signals through. So the extended amount would be around $50, $55, and this is not just for one product, this is enough to make maybe 3 or 4. So this is my front plate, this is my technical drawing. I got 1 technical drawing and 1 CAD model. It's just a piece of plastic, it's about 0.05 millimeters thin, and it's not too large, it's about a 3-inch diameter, I believe. So this is just something that's supposed to be small. It's going to help enclose the RFID tag so it doesn't fall out, and it's going to still be able to send signals through this piece of filament. Next we have the back plate. As you can see, there's a little pocket engraved in the middle. That's going to fit the RFID tag in it, and it's going to fit snug with it because I did design the size to be a little bigger but still snug around the RFID tag so it doesn't go slipping around. So this is the assembly. I did use the world's smallest RFID tag just for an example, and as you can see, it's going to go put together. I'm going to use adhesive to kind of seal it shut so that no water gets inside or nothing of that sort will leak in and damage the RFID tag itself. So the reason I wanted to do the design like this is because I've seen that people don't really know or have the same doctors. They don't have that information to themselves because we're humans, we can't remember too much. There's just so much to take into account when it comes to reducing misdiagnosis. But this will hold information with you. I believe that if you have this on you at all times, it'll be able to help because it'll have your family records and medication records, and that's something every doctor should have so that they can have a more accurate way of giving you a diagnosis. it'll also have it'll have a browser sort of like a browser like web page open. So when you walk into their appointment, they'll scan this RFID tag, and from there it'll pull up your profile. It'll have your name, social, medication you're currently on, medication you were previously on, any surgeries maybe, uh, maybe some sicknesses you're around, or maybe you'll have in the future, and that's your family records. And so overall, this is always going to be on you, and I believe this is the best way to kind of prevent diagnosis, since all of this will be at your hands, so you don't have to rely on, oh, I don't have the same doctor. And that's what I really want, because I do understand that some people don't have access to the same doctor every single checkup. And so this will help with your checkups, who was your last doctor, what did he say, comments maybe, what he was thinking. And so a good example was maybe you had a minor cyst on your back, something not to worry about, and in say 6 months, which is usually in time for your next checkup, you go to a different doctor, and he sees that the cyst has enlarged abnormally. He can actually go into your profile and see that a doctor gave you the correct medication, and see that, oh, you're on this medication, maybe you'll just need a higher dose. So I just want to make the communication barriers between doctors as well as the client itself, I want to make it easier to relay information between them. And these are my resources for my statistics and articles. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. Please ask questions if